What's up, folks? Here are 5 tips to help you sound better, get out of your ruts, and optimize your practice time. Do you ever feel like your progress on the instrument is slower than you would like? You ever think you sounded better last week or last month, almost like your progress is going backwards? I didn't even really want to put an order on this list because all of these are important. So we're going to start with number 5, which is focus on your weaknesses. Everyone has their strengths, of course, but you need to focus on eliminating your weaknesses, and it's important to be aware of what those are. Let's think about our musical skills like cups of water. The water level in each cup is your skill level in that area. It could be rhythm, tone, sight reading, technique. Let's say this is you. You need to dedicate more of your practice time to tone development right now. That doesn't mean stop working on technique or practicing with a metronome, but it does mean that if you're practicing, say, 45 minutes a day, you should consider dedicating 10 to 15 minutes to working on your tone. You can check out my favorite tone exercises in this video from a couple weeks ago. By the way, let me know which cup you think is less full, and I'll make a video about that one next. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you'll definitely see my next video. On the other hand, let's say you have a big, beautiful sound, but you have trouble playing rhythms accurately. Definitely keep playing your long tones, but maybe you only need to give 5 minutes a day to that and you can spend the rest of the time on other higher priority subjects. Clapping and counting rhythms, finding the hardest rhythms in the songs that you're working on and really nailing those, and also recording yourself to see how your progress is going. Number 4, take care of your reeds. Reeds are fickle, natural products that vary greatly even within the same box. They wear out, they change with the weather, and they're fragile. But if you give them love, they'll give you love back. First of all, you should always have 3 or 4 reeds in circulation minimum. Many professionals I know have at least a dozen reeds in their case, and they know at any given time which ones are performance worthy and which ones they might only use in the practice room. Hold the thick part of the reed and always get the whole thing wet before you play, not just the side that actually vibrates. Because when the thin part starts to dry out, the moisture can actually wick up from the thicker part of the reed just like it did when it was a living plant, through capillary action. And here's a test for whether or not your reed is actually sealing against the mouthpiece. You cover the back of the mouthpiece to create an airtight seal with your hand. What we want is, when we suck the air out of the reed, we should get a seal and a pop. So if it takes a second like that, that's good. If it's a really excellent mouthpiece and a really excellent reed combination, that seal might last for 3, 4, or 5 seconds and the pop comes later. This test will definitely fail if the reed is warped or cracked, and some reeds are just not totally flat right out of the box. When your reeds warp and the tips look wavy, like this, soaking it in water for a few minutes and then putting it on something very cleanable and flat, like glass, can usually solve the problem. Number 3, practice quietly. Your neighbors will love this one, and working to develop that will actually improve your intonation and your tone in all dynamic ranges of the instrument. A good way to check and see if you're using enough air support to play at a quiet volume is to slur from the low register to the high register. For example, G to D. If that note doesn't come out right away, then you're not using enough air support, and you want to think about squeezing the diaphragm muscles kind of like you're doing a sit-up or a crunch. Here's what a weak, quiet sound sounds like. So that's a weak, quiet sound. Here's a strong, quiet sound. Here's a weak, quiet sound. Here's a strong, quiet sound. Not to be confused with a loud sound. So again, a great way to check if your air support is sufficient is to play over the break, which means using a note without the octave key to a note with the octave key. That's going to give you a good idea if you're actually putting enough air into the instrument to get that good sound and that smooth transition. We don't want it to sound like we have a low instrument and a high instrument. It's one instrument. And that break, it takes a lot of time and tone development, but tone development really starts with good air support. People seem to think that playing loud is impressive, but it's not. If you listen to a beginner saxophone player, they're usually only able to play loud. And if you make the audience want to lean in and hear more of your sound than when you give it to them, they're going to really want it. Number 2, keep your instrument in good shape. So you've been working hard, playing long tones, getting low note exercises in there, and you still find that some of the notes below, let's say G or F, are just getting harder to play. Especially low D, C, B, B flat. What's going on? Aren't you supposed to be getting better at this and not worse? It might not be you. Good embouchure and air support can go a long way toward a good sound, but saxophones leak. Pads don't last forever, and even if they look new and clean, there's a 99% chance that your instrument is not airtight from the mouthpiece to the bell. Make sure you find a good local repairman at a woodwind shop or a music store that can send it off to a good repairman, and make sure to get a checkup every year or so, or whenever things slowly start to become more difficult than they were before. Last but definitely not least, that brings us to number 1, which is sing with your voice so you can sing with your horn. If you can sing or clap something, you can probably figure out how to play it. What can you sing right now without looking at music or listening to it? Maybe it's a nursery rhyme, maybe it's happy birthday, maybe it's a simple pop song that you know. It doesn't have to be anything really complex or challenging or related to what you want to play on the saxophone eventually. It just needs to be a song that you can intone and sing correctly, sing the notes, and you don't have to sound good singing it, but you want to be able to try and actually match the pitches. Most simple tunes are going to start on either the first or the fifth note of whatever scale you're using to play that song. So if the song is in the key of C, it'll start on C or G. Again, that's just a rule of thumb. It doesn't apply to all music. Most of the time, that's a good guess to start with. So on the saxophone, G is a good note to start on. G would be the first note of the G major scale or the fifth note of the C major scale. So it's usually going to be an easy key for us to play in. So let's try row, row, row your boat. If we start on a G, I'm going to play myself a G. You can do this on alto, tenor, bari, soprano, doesn't matter. Da. I'm going to start on that note. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Now I'm going to try and find those notes, and it might sound like this at first. If you play a wrong note, you want to think, okay, what was the wrong note I played? So in that case, I played a C sharp. Gently down the, and that's not really how the song goes. So we want to think, well, I'm kind of playing a G major scale, right? G, A, B. The next note should be a C natural because that's part of the G major key and scale. And there you can see that actually G, A, B, C, and D are the notes that make up that melody. Where does the next part go? That's a little harder, right? Da 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 da. And you don't have to be a good singer. I'm certainly not. But you want to get good at trying to find what the actual note is. So da 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 da. That wasn't far enough down my scale. So I'm still thinking about the G scale. So if you've started learning your arpeggios and your triads, you'll recognize that one's G, D, B, G. And these are the kind of patterns that make up music. This is why we practice scales and practice arpeggios and learn our key signatures, because we want to make music with it. Here's today's mystery song. Let me know in the comments below if you know what song that was. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. You've been a wonderful audience, and you'll be an even more wonderful audience if you remember to like, subscribe, ring the bell icon so that you'll get a notification for my next video. And if you'd like to, leave a comment and let me know which of these topics you'd like to see a deeper dive on.